And now, the latest news in solar technology for the week of March 14th, 2022. Pacific Gas and Electric, the California utility, announced that they are going to be working with Ford, and specifically the Ford Lightning electric vehicle, on a virtual power plant program where they'll begin to integrate these and test to see if they can combine all of the battery storage within the Ford Lightnings that are connected to the grid to create what is effectively a virtual power plant. They announced a similar program with the electric vehicles from General Motors last week. This is Jay Warmke with Blue Rock Station, and this is the news from solar for the week of March 14th. The American Council of Renewable Energy announced in a new report that 70% of all of the transmission and distribution lines in America are well in almost 50 years old, which is their life expectancy, and many of the components are at least 100 years old. They anticipate that a complete upgrade of the system will actually save the utility system about $140 billion in lost revenue. Canadian Solar panel manufacturer has announced that they will be releasing a 420-watt module that's about the size of their original 60-cell module. These will be using the bigger M10 cells and will actually only be 54 cells in size. In recent years, larger and larger modules have meant that you use more and more cells. In fact, 72 and even 96 cells in solar modules have become common. Now the panel manufacturers going with larger photovoltaic cells to generate more power, but fewer of them in the panel. There's currently a petition before the Department of Commerce that is arguing that the panel manufacturers from China, in order to bypass the tariffs coming at them for importing panels from China to the United States, have simply moved their operation to Malaysia, Thailand, and Vietnam. So the petitioners are arguing that this is just simply a circumvention of the rules and want to apply tariffs to them as well. Although there are a large number of solar panel manufacturers who are arguing against such a move, since these panels from these companies or from these countries represent about 80% of all the solar panels that are imported into the United States. And the U.S. is already facing severe supply chain problems, and they think that this will make it worse. In fact, projections show from the Solar Energy Industries Association that there will be about 19% of the scheduled projects over the next year will be delayed or canceled because of supply chain issues. Despite this, we have seen about a 30% growth in solar over the last year in 2021. Renewable energy now accounts for, in 2021, 81% of all of the new energy sources in the United States. Renewables now account for 26% of the total available generation sources within the U.S. This compares to coal, which is at about 18.5%, nuclear, which is about 8.3%, and of course the balance, the big gorilla in the room, is natural gas. 10 years ago, renewable energy only accounted for about 14%. So in 10 years, it's grown from 14% of the mix to 26% of the mix. And it's projected that by the end of 2024, it will actually represent about 30% of the mix of energy available in the United States. And a recent report from the utilities industry has identified 4 megatrends to look for in the supply of electricity over the coming decade. The first trend, decarbonization, which essentially means that the utilities are anticipating that the transformation from fossil fuels to renewable energy will continue. They're looking at electrification. Now, the electrification of our society is probably most visible in the transformation from fossil fuel vehicles, mainly gasoline and diesel, to fully electric. So they're looking at electrification of the transportation industry as well as many of the processes that are in the industrial industry. They're looking at resiliency due to climate change as being a major issue that the utilities will be facing in the coming decade. And the fourth megatrend that they've identified is energy transformation. Now, the report says that that's kind of difficult to figure out what that means, but the utilities are looking that the utility industry will have to transform from simply a simple power distribution network to actually a combination of energy services. So stay tuned, we'll find out what that means. That's been the news from Solar for the week of March 14th. We'll see you next week.